My name is Hannah Schell. I'm a professional gravel racer, and this is my survival guide for non-mountain bikers to get through Little Sugar. If you're not familiar with Little Sugar, it's a 100-kilometer mountain bike race in Bentonville, Arkansas. It's almost entirely on single track, which makes it the most technical race of the Lifetime Grand Prix. This was my first year competing in it, and I noticed there's a lot of non-mountain bikers that skip this race, so I wanted to put together a little bit of a how-to video for how I approached it as someone that is not gifted in the technical skills department. I'll start with what I did leading into the race. I knew this was going to have a lot of single track and also a lot of corners on potentially loose terrain, especially in the start of the race. So I worked with my mountain bike coach, Max, leading into Big Sugar to work on cornering form, especially on leaning the bike and keeping your body more perpendicular.
This is my coach, Max, and he's going to give me some feedback on a quartering drill.
Leaning the bike over whilst keeping our torso perpendicular with the ground, which allows us to have more opportunity to catch the bike if it was to slip out without feeling like we're going to wash out with the bike. So if you look at the video here, definitely carried some more speed into it, chin over the stem, which is great. And then if you look at this point, I'm on phone. So if we look at this point here, notice how the bike is pretty aggressively leant over, but our torso was pretty perpendicular with the ground there, certainly more so than the last one.
We don't have a lot of loose, rocky single track here in Colorado, but it was useful to practice in some looser corners. I still think this is something I need to improve on a lot, but giving a little bit of time to a skills session definitely helped me to feel more prepared as I got to Little Sugar. The other thing I would recommend before you actually go to the race is to upgrade your tire setup. So I rode Pirelli Scorpion XC RC 2.4s. I would not go any smaller than a 2.4. I even know that some pros went up to like a 2.6 if their bike had the clearance for it. And honestly, I would consider doing that with how rocky and flat prone the trails can be in Bentonville.
The Pirelli tires that I ran are the new XC compound, which is a lot grippier than previous iterations. It also has the Pro Wall. These are a 60 TPI tire, so they are a little bit more flat resistant. And honestly, I really loved them on that course. For sealant, I use Orange Seal, and I use the Endurance sealant for Little Sugar, mainly because it's what I had. But I typically use this in my training tires because it lasts really long. You can see on the left side, I've had that sealant in there for 3 months. A better choice would have been the regular sealant, just because it seals faster. That's going to be the one in the black bottle.
I had a very small puncture in the technical difficulty section, and I think if I'd had the regular sealant, that just would have sealed a little bit faster and I wouldn't have lost as much air. This course has one trail that basically takes you all the way out and one trail that takes you all the way back. So it's tunnel vision on the way out and back 40 on the way back. If you've seen 5 miles of either one of those, you've seen all of them. So these are the 3 sections that I would absolutely pre-ride if you're going to do a focused pre-ride. The first one is the start of the race to tunnel vision. The main reason to ride this is just because the start of any mountain bike race is critically important. There's a super steep grassy hill. I'm not showing that here. What I am showing is this kind of weird paved single track called Down Under. And this is good to pre-ride because you're going to want to identify areas that you can pass other riders. In my experience, it was super, super fast at the start, and this is kind of where it started to break up. Technical difficulty is the first super technical trail you're going to come to, and it has that kind of famous rock feature that you see in all the pictures of Little Sugar. It's really not that bad, but I do think that it's worth pre-riding because if you hit it and you're not sure what the line is, you might hesitate or have to get off and walk. After that first rock feature, there are just a few like tight sections on this trail, a couple more rocks, but it's nothing crazy, nothing that's, in my opinion, nothing that's not rideable. But still, again, a really good section of trail to pre-ride. The next trail is ledges, and I don't actually have tons of video of ledges. I just have one video of my friend Leslie riding the kind of opening switchback here.
Ledges has a lot of tight turns with a lot of big rock features, and some of it has water over it, just kind of adding to the difficulty because you don't have a lot of grip. So that's probably the most important section to pre-ride if you want to make sure you don't have to walk anything. On race day, like absolutely run a hydration pack. There is no chance if you're not a comfortable mountain biker that you're going to want to take your hands off the bars. I ran one hydration pack with a high carb mix. I'm using Scratch Labs high carb. And so I usually mix that at about 200 grams of carbohydrates in a 2-liter pack. I use sodium bicarb before I race, so I didn't add any extra sodium. And then I was using Sturker gels and Amax Cola Lime gels. I take those about every 30 minutes. That was perfect for me. I picked up another hydration pack with that exact same mix in it at the feed zone halfway. One thing that's nice about this race is that even if it's warm in Bentonville, which it's usually not that time of the year, it is mostly shaded. So I don't anticipate needing any extra sodium or having like really high temperatures while you're racing. Other items to consider in the actual race itself are how you are going to handle the road crossings. Most of the road crossings did have marshals in them, but some of them were unmarked. So I would just make sure as you're coming up to a road crossing that you're prepared to first look both ways or look to see if there's a marshal waving you through. There was one time that I came up to an unmarked crossing and I was just going really hard, not paying attention, and luckily the car stopped because they saw me, but it could have been really bad if I had like run through that section with the car. I crossed the finish line as 24th in the pro women, which is not great, but considering that I'm newer to mountain biking, I was pretty happy with it. So a little recap here of the things I covered today. Remember to do your skills work, upgrade tires and sealant before the race, pre-ride those 3 key sections. If you can pre-ride the whole course, that's great. But if not, those are the key points. Have a solid nutrition plan. Bonking on the mountain bike is not great. And prioritize your safety during the race. I hope that if you're a newer mountain biker, this helps give you a little bit of confidence that you can take on Little Sugar. And I would love to see you there next year.